Hello and welcome to Double Play Sports. I'm James alongside Pat. Today we are here with a very special interview with Phillies minor league pitcher Ben Brown. Ben, how are you doing today?
Good. How are you guys doing? Happy to be here.
Good, good. So first question I have for you is, who was your favorite baseball player growing up?
Favorite baseball player growing up. I grew up a Red Sox fan, so Josh Beckett, Jonathan Papelbon, Daniel Bard, like all those guys that threw pretty hard, who pitched for the Red Sox, and they won the World Series. So those are definitely the guys I looked up to.
Yeah, so growing up, coming out of the Northeast, you don't really know how you stack up against the guys that play all year at first. So when did you really realize that you stacked up pretty well against national talent?
Um, not really until my first year of pro ball. As far as like going to showcases and stuff. I really wasn't a standout in any way. I struggled against other talent, against other states. Um, I wasn't necessarily like the guy in showcase ball and sophomore, junior, senior year. I had a progression of talent. I got better, but I didn't think I was good enough or I always knew I was good enough, but I definitely didn't know that I belonged there until my first year of pro ball when I realized I can pitch against these guys and get out to the highest level or a higher level, not the highest level, but
All right, so what was the age you kind of realized in high school that you were going to be able to go pro and you were going to try and get drafted?
yeah. The thought was always there. The dream was always there that that's what I wanted to do. However, the reality of it wasn't really until my senior year of high school. I was pretty undersized, believe it or not. Sophomore, junior year, trying to struggle up and down with growing pains, whatever. And it wasn't until my senior year where I kind of put everything together. I grew a couple inches. I kind of evened out. I was a little chunky, so I kind of grew past that and started throwing in the 90s and all that good stuff. Kind of came my senior year of high school.
Yeah, so out of high school, 33rd round draft pick. A lot of those guys aren't even giving a chance a lot of the time. But you've had success so far, and what's been your mindset knowing that through your first few years of pro ball?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a chip on my shoulder, but it's a chip that I like to have. I can look back and say, what if I took an extra year of high school, or what if I went to college, or all this stuff. But ultimately, my age helps me out, being young and being only 17 years old when I was drafted in the 33rd round. So it was kind of looked at a little bit differently. But no, it's a chip on my shoulder, and I love having it. I didn't even realize it was a thing until I got down there that, oh my gosh, wait, you guys actually care about where guys get drafted? I was like, oh, I will get drafted. We're on, there definitely is some disadvantages to being selected that low, but ultimately you work past a lot of that stuff and you show them that you are A, just as talented, and B, you're going to work harder than everyone in front of you because that's how much it means to you. And if you can continually show that year in, year out, I think the organization definitely notices that and they give you the same opportunities. Just got to work for them a little bit harder.
So how big was the shift from high school to pro ball?
I think the biggest shift was, playing every day, throwing every day. In high school, I'd pitch my game and maybe throw a bullpen in between. And if I played catch 2 to 3 times, that would be a lot for that week. So playing every day, throwing every day, being coached every day. As far as like in-game stuff, I think the goal that you should do is like treat it like you're in high school again. Like treat it like it's no big deal. Like you want to attack hitters just like I did in high school. I think you have to command your off-speed pitches a lot better. Or you definitely have to command your off-speed pitches a lot better. But, my fastball remained pretty consistent, and I was able to throw my curveball behind the counts a little bit more. A little more pressure here and there, but ultimately it's very similar to high school. You want to just stick to your same game plan and trust that the reason why they drafted you is why you're here today, and like trust your stuff and just go after hitters.
Yeah. So after having solid production in 2017 and 2018, you got off to a really hot start in 2019. And when you're doing well, what kind of strategies do you use to keep up the high level of play?
kind of like related to what I said the last question. You just stick to your strengths. Is that I can elevate my fastball well. My curveball tunnels pretty well off my fastball, so I can throw that first strikeout pitch. Having confidence, knowing that you're better than the guy who's in the box. I think that's where that comes from, and just having the confidence that I can get anyone out, no matter who it is, and not trying to be someone who I'm not.
So after that hot start to your career, unfortunately, you needed to undergo Tommy John surgery. What mindset do you have to keep going through that, and what's it like when a conflict like that comes up?
Well, the best part about Tommy John is that you're not alone during it. There's so many cases of guys who came back even stronger, and that was always like the motivational factor for me. My friends would kind of make fun of me. Like we'd watch baseball games and be like, "Oh, he had TJ." Like, how do you know all this stuff? Like, oh, that guy had Tommy John, that guy had Tommy John. Like how you guys love the game so much, and how you guys are having your Instagram page and tracking stats and stuff. I was tracking guys who had Tommy John surgery because that was like my motivation. Like, oh, if they can do it, I can do it, and I can be better. And so everyone from Jacob deGrom to just the most random guy in the big leagues, like those were the guys who inspired me to, one, stick through it, stop complaining, and realize that there's a big light at the end of the tunnel. Obviously, rehab can get long, and you can do the same thing over and over again. You feel like you're going insane. But there's definitely, there's a way to get through it. You're going to see a lot of peaks, a lot of valleys. So everything in between. So yeah, rehab was tough, but I enjoyed it. I love getting through it. I love the grind of it, and I love being healthy now and being able to do what I love again.
Yeah. So after the Tommy John, how much did like your workout routine change and getting back into working out a lot and rehab and throwing again?
Yeah. Probably the biggest change during Tommy John was, it was tough not being able to compete. So I found other things to compete in. My diet was probably the main thing. I basically took out everything bad out of my diet. I eat, it's pretty boring. What's the stuff that I eat, like it drives most people insane, but it was my way of competing. It was like, all right, like I've always worked really hard. I've always been pretty strong. Mobility was something that I worked on as well, shoulder mobility, hip mobility. But my diet was definitely something that transformed what I put in my body, how I recover, how I sleep, all that stuff really changed after Tommy John. A lot of maintenance stuff, a lot of stuff was going to set me up for a long career, hopefully.
Yeah. So being in the minors means that you kind of bounce around a lot to different places and meet a lot of different people. Who has been the coach that helped you progress the most so far?
Yeah. Well, I've had a whole lot of coaches, a whole lot of mentors, a whole lot of coordinators. I'd be lying if I said there was only one person that helped me out. But if I can kind of narrow it down a little bit, for a coach who I've had consistently at a affiliate on a team, Matt Hockenberry, who was with the Phillies for a couple of years in the minor leagues, and he was with me in Lakewood and then rookie ball, and he was just such a huge help to me. He's like really motivating, really knew what worked for me, and I attribute a lot of that success, especially in Lakewood, to him. And in rookie ball, really, he's just been awesome. Just as far as like a pitching coach goes, someone who has a great feel for the game, great feel for his pitchers, and I really appreciate everything he did for me.
So obviously in 2020 there was no minor league season, and how did you and other minor leaguers like go through the season even when there's no games?
Yeah. I wasn't supposed to be ready for games until August of 2020. So for me, I was expected not to be playing, but I wasn't expected not to be at the facility, not to have rehab for my elbow every day and stuff like that. All the stuff that I was probably, taking for granted. Like, wow, I have a trainer every day to work on me. I have this amazing facility, the amazing fields to throw at, the Florida weather. So getting through that was tough. Like that reality struck in where, I have to drive 45 minutes for physical therapy now. I have I can only go twice a week. You know, I don't really have a consistent catch partner. So, I mean, that was tough, but, you know, I got through it. You know, the first couple months before Anthony Kay headed out to big league camp, I was with him, throwing with him every day. You know, the Long Island guys who were in the Phillies organization were huge for me. Nick Fanti and Logan O'Hoppe. You know, I was able to throw with Logan a lot as a catcher, and then Nick, you know, playing catch with him, and I was able to work out probably every day with Brian Morrell, who was a Phillies draft pick back in 2017, who was also rehabbing Tommy John, who's at St. John's University right now. So yeah, those guys were huge. It was really the community, it was the people I was around. Obviously, you know, we were being careful with the whole COVID thing. I would only really hang out with people who I trusted that were just on the same wavelength as me. You know, just want to play baseball, just want to do that. You know, I wouldn't be hanging out with guys who are going out or anything silly like that. Like, all these guys are really motivated to become better baseball players. So it was good. I was able to be around them for sure.
Yeah. So far in your minor league career, who's been one of the toughest hitters to face?
Yeah, toughest hitters. There's definitely been like just tough hitters. Like, I don't think I've faced anyone enough where I could be like, oh, that guy's got my number, or, you know, I got his number. But I've definitely pitched, and, you know, once I got up to Lakewood, there were some pretty intense games. We played Hickory, who was the Texas Rangers low A affiliate. And, like, they had a couple of guys, 2 of them who are in the big leagues now, and, like, a couple of those guys were really talented. And, like, pitching in that game was awesome, just because the adrenaline was just going like crazy. The heartbeat was racing. So that was definitely the hardest team I ever had to pitch against. The most thinking I ever had to do on a baseball field. That's when you know you worked hard, is when your brain is just fried after just thinking the entire time. So probably those guys, that group up in Lakewood, in the Sal League, was finally able to start facing some really good hitters and stuff.
So, so far throughout your career, and is there a pitcher that you really try to mirror, like the way they're on the field, their work ethic off the field?
Yeah. I take a lot from, you know, a lot of guys, especially in the Phillies organization. A lot of the older guys that kind of took me under their wing when I was just a kid. Well, I guess I still am just a kid, but took me under their wing when I was a little bit younger, after my second year of pro ball. A guy like J.D. Hammer was huge for me. He was my roommate for a certain amount of time, but kind of like wanted to emulate how he wanted to build his business and how he pitched in games and the confidence that he had. And then, like, there's just so many other guys, like, just watching how they prepare, how they recover, all that stuff. So there's a lot of guys. If you're a sponge, you'll get a lot out of it for sure.
Well, thank you so much, Ben, for doing this. This means so much to us. It's always great to have a player on the page. So yeah, thank you so much. And thank you so much for watching, guys.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me, guys.